to today's editorials, a broadcast from Canada. My name is Sandra Asante. Today we are looking at the food aid region, Afar and Amhara, but the situation is still being dire, as well as the finish up of, that is, Ethiopian's month says targeted in camps. So I'll take a quick commercial break. I'll be back. Stay with me. You're welcome back from the break. We start off with the aid region, Afar and Amhara, and the first round of food distribution to people in Afar and Amhara regions impacted by the spread of the conflict in northern Ethiopia has been completed, the World Food Programme WFP said on Tuesday. However, distributions of supplies into Tigray are lagging behind due to various impediments to the movement of humanitarian aid. The UN agency warned us one. Now let's look at the 7 million in dire need. So it is absolutely vital that we have the full cooperation and support of all parties to the conflict so that we can reach all affected populations with urgently needed food assistance before we have a humanitarian catastrophe on our hands across all of northern Ethiopia. Thompson Fury, that is the WFP spokesperson, is saying this. So up to 7 million people across the three regions, that is Tigray, Amhara and Afar, are now in dire need of food assistance. 5.2 million people in Tigray and the rest are in Afar and Amhara, he told the journalists in Geneva. So in Afar, Amhara regions, over 840,000 people, that is 700,000 in Amhara and 140,000 in Afar, have been displaced due to the current conflict, according to the government's estimates. Now we're looking at the food deliveries, and since 15th of August, WFP has delivered food to almost 300,000 people in Amhara and Afar, while nearly 2.5 million people have been reached with food assistance in the northwest and part of southern Tigray. Mr. Fury said, noting that WFP aims to reach almost 3.5 million people across all three regions, that is 2.7 in Tigray, 210,000 in Amhara, and up to 540,000 in Afar in the next round of distribution. Now we're looking at the food insecurities on the rise. Mr. Fury pointed out that in June, the Integrated Phase Classification, IPC, which analyzes the severity of food insecurity, estimated that in Tigray up to 400,000 people would be facing famine-like condition by now. Anecdotal reports from all three regions suggest that food insecurity is on the rise, he said. The food pipeline in the Tigray remains hand-to-mouth, he said, with the multitude of issues affecting the three movement of convoys. However, according to the WFP spokesperson, there has been positive news in recent weeks. Security issues has been largely overcome. 5 convoys, 171 trucks entered Tigray between 5th to 29th of September, he said. These carried a combined total of 6,150 metric tons of food and nutrition supplies. This is enough to feed more than 360,000 people for a month. Despite these recent convoys, only 11% of the humanitarian aid needed has entered the region. Now we're looking at the impediments to cargo delivery. Mr. Fury told the meeting that one of the major impediments to the delivery of cargo was that the vast majority of commercial trucks were not able to return from Tigray. However, he said that WFP has been continuing work commercial transporters to overcome any issues deterring the trucks from leaving. Recently, we have had more than 90 commercial trucks that have exited Tigray and are now available for movement of humanitarian aid into the region. Now we look at the fuel stocks running low, but he reiterated that the combined needs of the humanitarian sector require 100 trucks to be arriving daily to provide food baskets of cereals, pulses and vegetable oil to 210,000 people per day. So Mr. Fury also emphasized that while WFP has been successful in enabling 90 trucks to exit Tigray, fuel stocks are running critically low, pointing out that the fuel is vital to keep operations running and facilitating the movement of humanitarian aid to and across the region. He stressed that WFP needs 200,000 liters of fuel entering Tigray each to keep operations running. Now let's look at the $426 million shortfall across Ethiopia. WFP aims to reach 11.9 million people in 2021 with food, nutrition, and cash support and delivering activities to boost communities' self-reliance and food security. However, WFP continues to face challenges in terms of resources, the spokesperson said. We need $184 million to continue to scale up its response in northern Ethiopia. For all the activities in the country, WFP has the funding shortfall of $426 million. We continue to appeal for additional funding and increase and sustain access so we can continue to provide assistance in a timely manner. So that's what they're saying, the spokesperson is saying. Now we're looking at the Ethiopian getting on story, and government officials maintain focus of operations in region is suspected, allying with the Tigrayan forces and not civilians. Amhara says he told 2 points. It was either leave home or be killed. He told the Al Jazeera from the safety of a United Nations run refugee camp in the Basinga village in the Sudan Gadarith state bordering Ethiopia. The 20-year-old student, a member of Ethiopia's Gelmant minority ethnic group, fled to the camp to escape what he says was a raid by Ethiopian soldiers on Shinfa, a town in Ethiopia's Amhara region, some 10 kilometers from the Sudanese border on June 13th. So they shot at anyone who moved, including the elderly. I am lucky to be alive, he said in a phone interview from the camp. They want us to cleanse the Amhara region of the Gemant. He added, they are trying to finish us off. Amhara is among the growing number of Gemant to level such accusations against Ethiopian troops and allied militias affiliated with the country's Amhara regional government. Government officials maintain that civilians are not being targeted by the offensive in Amhara, which they say is linked to the country's 11th-month war, initially pitted the forces loyal to the TPLF. That is the Tigray People's Liberation Front, the governing party of the nearby Tigray region, against the national armies of Ethiopia and neighboring Eritrea. So the fighting in Tigray has killed thousands, displaced millions, and has led to a humanitarian crisis that has left hundreds of thousands facing famine-like conditions. In June, Tigrayan forces launched the Germans lived in the Amhara region and are physically and linguistically indistinguishable from the ethnic Amhara, Ethiopia's second largest ethnic group, who accounts for nearly a quarter of Ethiopia's 112 million people. The Germans have long complained of marginalization, struggling even for recognition. In 2007, they were completely omitted from Ethiopia's census, and today there are no confirmed population figure for the Germans, who are believed to number many more than 172,000 last counted in 1994. Meanwhile, requests for the regional autonomy by Germans rights group had them at odds with the ethnic Amhara, with whom they share a region. At a news conference in April, the former Amhara regional president Agnenehu Teshaja, whose term ended this week, alleged that the Germans extremists have formed militias allied with the Tigrayans, although he did not present evidence to support his claim. We are fighting in a war against German extremists who are in Sudan. That's what he's saying. So refugees in Sudan told Al Jazeera that A number of Gedmant youth have taken up arms in response to constant raids on their community. Al Jazeera could not independently verify this, and there is little to no data on the former founding of the Gedmant force and its capacity. But satellite imaginary analysis, witness account of photographic evidence gathered by Al Jazeera point instead to the involvement of the Ethiopian military and allied militias in the destructions of the Gedmant community. Residents have also accused Ethiopian troops of watching idly as allies and militias carry out often massacre killings against civilians. This is where I end today's editorial. It's a broadcast from Canada. My name is Sandra Asante. Thanks for watching. Do have a great day.